Tamra keeps accusing people of doing exactly what she does. Like, first, it was talking about Shannon and how it's hard to be friends with Shannon because she just will turn on you. How can you be friends with someone who will just turn on you like that?
Shannon betrayed me in the worst way. You know, a 10-year friendship. How can you get close to anybody, especially like Shannon, that will just turn on you?
Or when she says to Jen,
you can say whatever you want, but if anybody says anything back, they're the bad one.
but didn't it go Jen's first season, Tamra was trying to expose the affair that Jen and Ryan had, and she was saying some wild stuff. Like, she was like, Ryan said he wanted to fuck me. So then Jen and Ryan respond to that and go on podcasts or social media or whatever. So then Tamra ups the ante and brings up the FBI and home rates. And then she also unnecessarily outs Jen for having a tummy tuck. So then Jen and Ryan respond again after they've seen the show and see what she said. So how is Tamra's perspective that Jen is the one saying things all willy-nilly and all Tamra's doing is responding? You know, this is something to ponder and something we will be pondering this episode. Hi, by the way, welcome back to She's Speaking. I'm Emily, and we are talking about Orange County today. Katie is having one of those seasons where she might be wrong in some areas, but the rest of them are so annoying that I'm like, okay, I'm just Team Katie because, like, I don't even know what's happening. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. All right, make sure you are subscribed and following the show. And if you're watching on YouTube, like and comment on this video. Okay, let's freaking do it. So Katie decides to leave the party after her blow up with Shannon. Shannon goes right back to making herself a plate and announcing, I'm going to eat the food I didn't eat before, in case anyone was clocking how much I'm eating. You can tell Shannon's uncomfortable with her weight again. Speaking as someone who gets that, but you could tell because she did this. She talked about her eating a lot, excuse me, when she first put on that weight, when she came back, whatever season that was. She would talk about her food incessantly. And I just, as someone who gets it and talks about their food incessantly when they're insecure about it, I'm like, oh yeah. So she's like, just so everyone know, I know I had a grilled cheese before, but I didn't eat it. So this technically doesn't count for all the judgment that you're probably giving me because she's judging herself, you know? Anyway, but so Tamra brings Joe. This is like for some reason they blurred Joe's face too, like it was some big reveal. But I'm like, wait, Joe was at the finale party last season. Had Joe not been at the finale party, I maybe would have been like, oh my God. But like the reveal wasn't so shocking when we just saw her last time and she was like, everyone loves Joe. Wasn't it Alexis who brought her to the party and was like, literally everyone loves Joe. Everybody just loves Joe. So like, it wasn't that shocking to me to see her since I knew she hung out with them. Like, if anything, I was more weirded out that Slade was there. So it didn't have the impact on me that I wish it did, because I can see some people being like, ooh, Tamra, so shady. I'm like, I guess it's okay. It's like not even that great. But Gretchen, she's smart. I got to say, I'm going to give her that. And she's like, what we're going to do is we're just going to go up to Joe, both of us, Slade and me, and we're just going to talk to Joe. Because that ruins any pettiness that Tamra thought she was getting away with, because it's like, didn't work. So I'm like, well played. Good move. Nice job. But before that even happens, Tamra is walking into the event and sees Katie leaving. Tamra walking over to check on Katie was stupid. And it's a prime example of how Tamra plays everybody. Katie already knows that she's the ops. She's the one who told the group about the recording. It would have never come up if Tamra hadn't brought it up. So she's obviously not her alliance. But then here she comes trying to be like, are you okay? Let me check on you. And it's like, no, you can't be both. But Matt is not here for it. And I don't blame him, honestly. She's like, I don't want you to cry. And he goes, please, you started it. You're going to come over here and pretend like you care now? She's like, oh my God. She goes, so it's my fault you recorded Shannon? See, that's that manipulative shit you do, Tamra. No, but you can't come over here and try to be my friend when you're clearly operating different when I'm not around. That's the point. You get caught in something and that's my fault? It's just manipulative. No. But are you my friend? Because why would you bring it up otherwise? Or wait, if you were my friend, why would you bring it up like that? Clearly it wasn't that big of a problem to you, as Katie says in her confessional. If it was so horrible that I recorded Shannon, why did you wait a year to talk about it? One could say she's just doing it for the show. Well, then in that case, don't come over and check on me when I'm crying. Okay? Because that's what's going to happen. Anyway. Oh, and then Tamra in her confessional goes, I honestly thought that Gina knew. I thought we had a conversation about it last year, but I guess not. That's not true because you told them at that spa day that you just had. You told them for the first time. So what are you talking about? But Katie she's lying. She goes, I owned it. I'm not denying any of it. Yes, you are. The story has changed, but that's okay. Because Tamra it's just so terrible. Tamra goes, I've never been anything but nice to you. I supported you last year. And Katie's like, you called me a cunt. I don't remember. Why was Tamra mad at Katie? What was that even about? I can't even kind of place what was happening that would make Tamra have said that. Although I vaguely remember at one point Tamra realizing she shouldn't have gone so far with the I'm on Katie's side thing, but I don't even care. I really don't care. I was surprised by that too. But Katie goes, I have never called you a bitch or a cunt or a name. And Tamra goes, no, you'll just call bloggers and try to get stories out there. Okay, this is hilarious though, because then Jo, who doesn't know anybody, doesn't know any of the situation, she just kind of makes this funny face to Tamra, like, should we just go inside? And then she kind of looks over at Katie like, I'm so sorry. You could tell Jo would have gone over and hugged her and been like, I don't know what's happening, but we're late to the event already, as it is. Okay. All right, so then Tamra walks in with Jo late and says to Heather, I made it. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Shut up. That's so obnoxious. Her body looks great, though, Tamra. I will never take that away from her. All right? She looks fantastic. But Tamra opens when she gets over to the girls. I just got attacked by Katie. And I don't like that you're trying to act like you have no idea why she'd be upset. Side note, love stoned Terry. Love him. She's like, did you get stoned? He's like, you have a weed bar. All right. And the clip they put together of him, the compilation of him just stoned, I love it. But Heather and Terry are advocating for Tamra because it's Gretchen and Jen and Slade and Ryan. And they're just obviously we hate Tamra. But Jen makes a decent point. And she says that Tamra comes for people when they're at their weakest. Well, okay, that's fair. When Shannon and the drinking thing, she looks at that weakness for sure as the enemy and she wants to attack it. Or for whatever was going on with Ryan, I don't know the legal repercussions, whatever, but that was probably scary for him for sure. And then Tamra brings that out. So she does tend to attack a weakness. That's the thing she should unpack in therapy. Okay, right there. But after this conversation, Jen does clearly think all right, maybe I'll give Tamra a chance. So she goes over to Tamra with all that energy coming from the conversation with Heather, which Tamra was not privy to. So she's like, what's happening? She's like, okay, we need to talk. Not here, not now, but we'll talk. So anyway, next up, Gina and Travis host an open house. And I got to say, good for Gina. Hearing that they're both thriving in real estate and they've got a whole group now and all that, I love it for them. Because honestly, makes me feel not so guilty if we're ever can Gina be fired? Because, for a while there, it was oh, I don't think she should be because she may not make it. But now it's kind of she can go, right? Gina's accent it's not a real accent. It's just a Gina voice. That's not a Long Island accent. That's not. So they talk a little bit about the event. And by the way, Tamra's extension track is very much showing, just saying. But Tamra is the reason I came after Ryan to begin with is because of what he said on the podcast, even after we made up. And I'm like, God, that's really like still not really seeing what happened. But I guess like Ryan, I don't like Ryan very much. So Ryan's kind of slimy to me. So you can like not like Ryan, but then you can't be surprised, I guess, that Ryan's responding when you are talking about him and Jen. So like I don't like Ryan talking, but like you kind of don't, and it's like after you made up, I guess I need to rewatch last season because I'm like I can't recall all the different peaks and valleys that they had. And is this Jen's third season? It is, isn't it? No. All right. Well, I'll figure that out soon. But I think my homework is going to be to review last season because I don't remember any of the back and forth or like the timing of because it just I remember it like Tamra was the one going for it, and then they would respond. And I don't like Ryan the way he responds. It's kind of like ugh, a little ick to me. But it also is like, well, it's kind of fair, isn't it? Sort of like if you're gonna say something really bold, you're gonna have them retaliate in some way. But then, okay, also in Tamra's confessional here in this scene, she says that Jen says she's nice, but she's actually really mean. And this is just the examples that production put on the screen, but I was so confused because the examples are Jen, as you know her, saying, your mouth and alcohol are your biggest problems. I mean, that's not wrong. Tamra herself quit drinking for the most part because of her behavior. So, and then there's one where she says, this is Jen, I'm just going to work this, quote, tummy and see if I can find my belly button. Can we all say insecure much? That's because Tamra outed the tummy tuck. That's why. Like, you said something kind of mean first, and then she's responding. Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. Where are all my chronic joint pain girlies at? That is the story of my life. Honestly, since I was in my 20s, I'm not even going to say it's my age. Since I was in my 20s, my feet have always hurt. My first ever hosting job, they tried to say heels were a shoe requirement. And I was like, I literally can't. I cannot stand in a heel for 6 hours. And I was like 21. So that is why when Vionic Shoes sponsored this podcast, they changed my life. If I had known about Vionic Shoes back in my restaurant days, I tried every insert, every orthopedic type shoe, and nothing compared to when I slipped my foot on the Uptown Willa. They were very generous. They sent me 2 shoes of my choice, and I went with the Uptown Loafer and the Uptown Willa. And I have since purchased the Monarch sneaker and their house slippers because I can't be barefoot inside anymore. All of their shoes have the Vio Motion technology. This is what sets them apart. They have harnessed advancements of biomechanics, and they've engineered just better performing shoes that strengthen your natural movement while aligning and balancing you feet first. And they are chic, okay? The Uptown Willa, the Uptown Loafer, so chic. My Monarch sneaker has some fabulous leopard print detail on it. So it's not like you're going to wear them and people are going to say, those look comfortable. But if they do compliment you on them, which they will, you get to say, and they're comfortable. So here's what you got to do. You got to go to www.vionicshoes.com and use code SHESPEAKS at checkout because you'll get 15% off your entire order when you log into your account. And it's one-time use only. VionicShoes.com, code SHESPEAKS for 15% off your entire order. During these unprecedented times, I have been clutching my cornbread hemp CBD gummies like my life depends on it. I have tried all kinds of gummies, THC, CBD, you name it, and cornbread gives me the most pleasant feeling of all I've tried. I've been getting down with the THC gummies, Blueberry Breeze, and even though everything around me is a mess, it feels nice. The gummies are helping. Cornbread hemp only uses the best part of the hemp plant, the flower, for the purest and most potent CBD. It's formulated to relieve discomfort, stress, sleeplessness, And all products are third-party lab tested and USDA organic to ensure safety and purity. Right now, She's Speaking listeners can save 30% on their first order. Just head to cornbreadhemp.com/shespeaks and use code SHESPEAKS at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/shespeaks and use code SHESPEAKS. Jen goes to her veneer appointment with Ryan. And she talks about her upcoming dinner with Tamra. Obviously, Ryan is like, be careful. But Jen has now been informed of Tamra's new narrative that she is obsessed with Tamra and the hair extensions and the whatever. But I thought it was kind of a mic drop when Jen's like, who did you call for inspo when you were having your tummy tuck? And she's got a screenshot of Tamra sending it to Jen saying, my inspo. Right? Am I crazy? That's like, so Tamra. Anyway, we're going to keep going. I don't know why, but I reject what Heather is doing with the Joshes and selling her house. I don't like it. I feel like it's kind of being this weird forced upon me crossover TV show thing, or it's like Heather kind of flexing her power or something. I don't like it. It was just too. But okay, we got these dueling scenes happening now. So Emily, Gretchen, Shannon, they go to aerial yoga. Heather, Gina, and Katie, they go to lunch. Shannon is pretending to be this uncoordinated. This is like her bit now. She shows up late, and then she's like, "Oh, I can't even get my hands through it." And didn't we do this before? And okay, but I was surprised in this scene that Emily seems to be brokering a resolution between Tamra and Gretchen. And I guess, I forget that Emily now has a podcast with, under that umbrella, under Tamra's podcast umbrella, right? She's like, didn't they start their own like network or something and they have like Dolores? And so I know that Emily has a podcast under Tamra. So I feel like it's a little bit of a conflict now, especially because Emily's always been just so outspoken and like, I don't give a fuck. But I feel like I just get a little tiny sense of her knowing that she is getting paid by Tamra to some degree. So I don't know how I feel about it. Shannon at one point says that Katie has recorded more things that they just don't even know about, which, it's probably true. At this point. But Shannon is like when she went so far with what she said to Katie when she was like, you are evil. You are worse than John Jansen. Like you have to take it to such an extreme that you're like losing perspective, and yes, was it bad what Katie did? Yeah, that would feel like a total betrayal, but Shannon just will take a moment. Oh, also, have you guys seen, I'm a little convinced that this was leaked by Katie, but there's been a couple articles out about how Shannon had to be spoken to about her behavior to the crew. To me, I feel like Shannon's probably just been this bad all the time because I've heard stories about it, and I know I've heard it from Tamra, but it just doesn't surprise me, especially because we've seen little glimpses of it. And then hearing that she came storming into the not rehearsal, the photo shoot. What do they call it again? Dang it, I forgot. Damn it, I wanted to be able to say that. Upfronts? No, damn it. What's it called again? Damn it, I can't remember. I will add it to my research because I can't remember what they called it. And I really want to be like the person that knows to call things. But she came running in late and yelling on the phone and probably being mean to people. They're probably like, Shannon, we need to get you in hair and makeup. And she's like, hold on. Why is Alexis Bellino here? It's like yelling at people. And then Joel Kim Booster. I know that we don't like how far he took it, but like, it's been a thing that Shannon is not the nicest because she's always having an episode. Even when you watched the Jamaica trip, when she was like screaming at production, is like, I need a break. Stop following me, and yelling and screaming and whatever, like that kind of stuff. So yeah, I feel like Shannon's sort of notoriously mean. But it feels like there's nothing new. It feels like this is not a new thing. So it wouldn't surprise me if Katie was kind of like pushing a story out there because we know she does do that. So, okay, but now at the Heather, Gina, Katie lunch, Heather relays the message that Tamra said Matt screamed at her. which is not obviously what happened. But he got involved. And of course, as soon as a husband gets involved like that, it's like, oh my God, how dare you? But I'm not on Matt's side on that one. I am. He wasn't mean. He just was like, are you seriously going to come over here and try to pretend right now? Like, come on. But then Heather asks about Kiki Monique. Okay. And they flash back to Heather's party where Tamra originally told them about this. And this is what she said. Katie contacted somebody that has a radio show and a podcast and asked them to repeat something that I'm not going to repeat. It's so bad. Now, I went immediately over to Kiki's Instagram and was like, is she talking about it? What's happening? She can't talk about it yet. More of this will be unfolding throughout the season. So she's got clearly an NDA, can't discuss any story stuff. So she's unable to say anything. But let me go through this in my head logically. I don't think Tamra would outright make up a lie because she is a little smarter than that. Because she does like to be, even if it's like stretched the truth. Even if Kiki told her like, oh yeah, we did talk about this and that. And Tamra picked up on it, was like, oh my God, like Tamra really will take something and just spin it into the word or the opposite. Something bad that she said, she'll be like, all I said was, and it's like this very different version of what she really said. So it's like, I don't think that nothing happened with Kiki because I don't think Tamra's that bad and that stupid. But to say it's so bad you don't want to repeat it, well, what the hell do you think we're going to start coming up with now? You know what I mean? So Katie goes, prove it. And Heather goes, look, no one knows what to believe anymore. Some of us, including myself, sit back and go, what's next? I guess. I mean, Katie was a little ridiculous with Heather last season. I had that opinion for sure. And I did say that Katie and Heather are oddly similar in some sort of like, just an essence kind of. So I was like, I bet once they get over this, they'll be friends. And then, oh, hold on. My dryer's going off. 1 second, please. Sorry about that. I have one of those dryers where once it's done, it will beep until you open it. It's very annoying. Okay. Anyways, the producer in Katie's confessional asks Katie if any of the other women came up when she had lunch with Kiki. And she says an emphatic no. Well, and I'm going to say this about Kiki Monique. I don't think if you know her, you know that she's not like she's not one of those. She's been doing the Bravo content creator thing for years and years. She's quite established. She has her own radio Andy show. I think she has one with Dorinda too. She goes on Sheena's podcast all the time. She's kind of like one of the Bravo lebs at this point, more so than, excuse me, like another content creator or even me. I don't interact with any of them on a personal level, professional level, any of it. But even though she does, she's not like dropping tea because then she would never get any information. She's not about to go expose stories that would lead back to her and her source would be like, what the fuck? I told you that in private. Like, that's not Kiki's style. So when Gina at one point says to Katie, you shouldn't even be hanging out with people like this. I'm like, she's not like, I don't want to name another person because it's a bad example, but even like me, like I don't interact or have a relationship like that. So I could be someone who would leak something, maybe. But not Kiki Monique. Everyone knows Kiki, literally. So I didn't like that Gina tried to lump her in there, like with those people. I'm like, Kiki's not like, and I'm even putting myself in there. I'm like, yeah, she shouldn't talk to me even, maybe. Not like, me, I also don't like to release stories because it freaks me out. It makes me so nervous. And I've kept a lot of secrets, but Kiki's the same. You know how many secrets Kiki's keeping? She's friends with Sheena for the most part. Like, come on. She's keeping secrets. So, Gina, don't say that. And I keep not understanding Gina's energy, too. Like, I don't get what does Gina like Katie? None of it really is making sense. But I guess in Katie's mind, she thought that Gina, like, brought her on the show and then, like, fed her to the wolves. And that was Katie. Katie has her own issues. How about that? Katie has her own issues, but Gina, I don't get what Gina's I don't get what Gina's role in this is. All right. Side note, Shannon is overfeeding Archie. Okay, that dog is big. And it's not good for dogs to be like, look, I like a fat animal. Like my cat Tiger is fat. But when it takes nothing for her to gain even a little bit of weight. So I love it when she's fat, but I know it's not good for her joints or whatever. And so when she fed Archie a whole thing of bread before they went on the walk and they cut over to Archie, I was like, yeah, no, he's it's a little big. It's a little big, Shannon. Okay. But all right, Tamra and Jen have dinner, or they attempt to have dinner. But Tamra shows up ready to fight. She did. She walked in there like, let's fucking go. I'm going to fucking give it to her. So Jen says, I want to ask you so many questions, and I want to know that you're going to answer me honestly. Tamra goes, why wouldn't I? Okay. And Jen goes, you just don't sometimes. Yes, I do, Jen. I always do. So it's like Tamara's coming from the angle, I guess, of Jen is out here making me look bad when she's actually the bad one. That's like the vibe I'm getting. And that she's like tired. Tamara's tired of Jen painting her in this light or whatever. Okay, I'm trying to understand this energy from Tamra. Tamra's trying to make the point that Ryan also said things, so he's not so innocent. But then Jen's like, okay, but then you bring up the FBI and our house being raided. Like that. The way where you go versus what we're responding to and the way we respond, it's like, it's a little different. And this is when Tamra says, you can say whatever you want, but if anybody says anything back, they're the bad one. I just was like, I'm just genuinely so confused right now. What do you mean? How are you saying that? Tamra reminds her that she said Eddie doesn't have a job or make any money. Sure, fine. Totally. That was said for real. But Jen goes, all right, let's go this way because this seems to work better for you. And Tamra does not like that. She says, don't be condescending to me, okay? I don't know who you think you are, but you're not. And then she's like, who do I think I am? Oh, that you're like above everyone. I'm not the one who got evicted. I'm not the one who got caught cheating. I am so glad Tamra said that because look, it's one thing with the FBI and Ryan and that, because that's a real thing to be like, what the hell is happening here? Okay, fine. But the cheating thing, like it didn't make sense what she was trying to expose. Like Jen never denied that they had an affair. And Jen never denied that that was bad and that she felt bad for that. It's not like she's like, that's right, I loved it. I loved hurting my husband and my family. Jen hasn't been cavalier about it. So that's what was confusing. It's like, what are you doing that like you kind of didn't do, Tamra? So Jen goes, you've never cheated? And Tamra goes, maybe. Oh, maybe. And Jen's like, okay, so now you didn't cheat. She goes, no, I left Simon for Eddie. And Jen's like, yes, that's what I did. I never said I didn't cheat on Will. And then I swear Tamra makes this shit up. I swear to God. She goes, this was the first time or the second time? Oh, you probably don't want me to bring it up. So what? And it's just, there are some rumors that there was another guy at a yoga studio that she got involved with. Okay, really? You need to have, at this point, Tamra, you need to have such clear proof of it. Rumors are not going to work. Rumors are not gonna work. You're going to need to have like screenshots and proof because this just looks wild. But then thank God Jen brings up, why are you saying I'm obsessed with you? And Tamra, she goes, well, there was some weird shit that went on back in the day. The hair extensions thing. Tamra's actually a scary friend because hearing Jen's version of what happened, she's like, I went to the salon. You had been at an event. They're like, hey, let's put Tamra's extensions in your hair. And she put them in my head and was like, check it out. I would do that. Like if I was getting extensions and I went to a salon and it wouldn't even be weird I would be, and I bet Tamra thought it was funny too at the time. I bet she thought it was hilarious. But then in Tamra's confessional, she's like, if I die in the middle of the night of stab wounds, it's her. Okay. I'm always down to try and see both sides of something, but this doesn't even make sense to me. Because wait, and I'm not even, since Tamra goes, you go to my doctor and have your face redone. You came to my gym because you saw I did a fitness competition. I was right there with Jen when she goes, how dare you put yourself up on such a pedestal? Like, come on. You had a gym. I went to a gym. Everyone works out, Tamra. But I guess she was I guess Tamra's trying to say that Jen was like a fan of the show and watched the show. And that's why she like came to her gym or something, I guess. But I have to say, even the like before and after picture, or the before picture that Tamra tried to expose Jen with, like, yes, she looks different, but it's not like a whole different human being. And Tamra, like, I know Tamra's always been hot, so maybe Tamra like doesn't understand what that's like. But if anyone used an old picture of me and were like, see, look at who she used to be, I'd be like, yeah, and I got better. What? So it's not even that damning. It's like, okay, she's got jeans and a peplum top on. Ooh, those were very in style for a while. I had a few of those to hide my tummy as well. But they're very actually unflat. They do the opposite of what you're hoping they do. But anyway, don't even talk about it anymore, because that's weird that you tried to expose Jen being like, this is who she really is. It's like, no, she just had a fucking glow up. That's normal. It's Orange County. And Tamra has talked about her plastic surgeon. Dr. Ambe, one of the two, Dr. Ambe or Dr. Ambe. That's also, isn't that Vicky's doctor too? So how is it weird that anyone would go to the same doctor? Like, I recommend people, and if someone asked me who to go to, I would give them a recommendation. But I wouldn't be like, oh my God, well, they went to the person I suggested. They did. They're crazy. They want to be me. No. But then I'm sorry, I get it. Jen's like, you're sick. You're sick. Don't fucking call me sick. I won't stand for it. So Tamra leaves. If Tamra comes and says, with everything Teddy's going through, don't call me sick because Teddy is sick, I'm going to lose it. Now, she hasn't said that yet. She has not. I just said that. But I just am going to like where Tamra could go. And it's like, it hasn't even happened yet, but I'm already mad at her for it. But yeah, like, do I think that Jen can fib a little and be a little dishonest? Yes. But Tamra? I am so baffled and confused. Anyways, before I wrap this up, I'm going to have a little chat that I probably should have had a minute ago, because it's been a second since I've set some boundaries or even had a host to audience conversation like this. But I got a comment on TikTok that was, used to love this podcast or loved this podcast, but the ads are insufferable now. Then they said 2 minutes in the beginning of the episode, 7 minutes in the middle of the episode, and I can't remember whatever the rest of that math is at the end. And then I went, okay, wait. I realized that because I have a friend who complains about ads, not on my podcast, but on other people's podcasts. And I realized that not everybody understands like how the ads actually like work on podcasts. And I'm talking about YouTube ads too, because I think people don't realize like when a host of a show you like puts out an episode on whatever platform, whether it be YouTube or it be a podcast, we either have two options for what you hear as ads. The first one is when it's a host read ad. So that would be like when I or your favorite host is talking about a product themselves. And that means that brand booked and paid for that spot to be in your episode or episodes that week. So they buy for the week. So they're like, here's your money. We would like this ad to be read by you. And then you put it in the episode. And they usually want a mid-roll. So you have a pre-roll, a post-roll, and a mid-roll. And I think you can figure out what those are, right? Most ads like to be in the middle, mid-roll. But sometimes you'll listen to a podcast and you'll hear a host read ad at the very beginning. That's called a pre-roll ad. I've to this day never had one of those where I'm actually reading one. So that's the difference. The other ads you hear that are like for Toyota or whatever company, but just not that I'm not the one reading them. Those are what we put in as ad breaks. So Spotify has a catalog of ads that they need to push out because those brands paid Spotify and said, okay, advertise for us on your shows that are on your platform. What we do on our end is we put in ad breaks. So we put like a marker, like, okay, here, put 3 ads if you have them to run on my show. And so I've always had a pre-roll of 3 ad breaks and a post-roll of 4. Always. That's been since I signed up with Cloud 10. But then in the mid-roll, I sometimes have one sponsor that sponsored the podcast. Sometimes I have 2. Sometimes I have 4. I haven't had 4 in a minute because summertime's usually a little slower. But what that means is if however many sponsors have booked a spot, I have to give them a spot. So I have a rule that if the episode is under an hour, I only do 1 mid-roll ad break. Because something I don't like when I listen to podcasts, I don't like when every 10 minutes or 15 minutes, there's an ad. If the episode is longer than an hour, I will have 2 mid-roll ad breaks. There will be times when I have to do 2 separate ad breaks, even though the episode isn't that long. And that's because that particular sponsor said, I want my own ad break. I don't want to be at the front or the back of an ad break. I want the only one. That's it. So sometimes I'm like, well, fuck, I have to then put in 2 separate ad breaks. And I don't really have that long of an episode. So it's just, I got to do it because these people have paid for that spot. Then there was about maybe a year and a half ago that because of what the shows I was covering and like the cast was going on podcasts and doing podcasts and stuff, I had to listen to a lot of other podcasts that are in like the pop culture TV genre and bigger podcasts, way bigger than mine. And I realized, holy shit, there are so many more ads in these episodes. I don't have half of these ads. This is how many ads people put in their fucking shows? And I realized I could add some more freaking ads because I just assumed I'd never make any money off of those ad breaks that you hear at the beginning and at the end. Because like I wasn't putting that many. So I was like, all right, well, I guess you just don't make a ton of money on those. But if I just increased each ad break by 1, maybe I could. So I started to be a little bit less afraid of putting ads because then I also had introduced a $3 tier on my Patreon for all episodes ad-free. So I was like, that's easy if you really hate ads. And the reason I have that option and I think it's a great option is because I hate ads. I premium for me across the board. I don't pay for ads on YouTube ever. Never. And I'm going to talk about YouTube in a second. I don't pay for ads on Peacock, on Netflix, on Hulu, nothing. I'm always premium because I do hate ads, especially on streaming services because they say that they play the same freaking one. So if you're watching an episode, it's like, oh, this Tostitos commercial again, and it makes you crazy. So I never watch ads. And on YouTube, I'll get this where people are like, there's so many ads in this episode. And I'm like, there isn't even one sponsor. Or maybe there's one, but like I'm allowed to have one sponsor. And then I realize, oh, you have the YouTube ads. And that again, we just say put in ad breaks because there you go. Why else would we do, what else are ads for or views for and listens for? If ads are there as an option, that's how you monetize on a platform. Whenever I have to screen record and I have to watch Bravo TV on bravotv.com and sit through ads, not like on Peacock where I don't watch ads. But if I have to screen record something, I got to sit through ads. And I mean, they got like 5 ad breaks, 6 ad breaks, 4 ad breaks every 15 minutes, if not more. And I get it. It's a TV show. But if you think about it like that's like, well, this is my show. And I've heard people complain about other podcasts. And when I listened to those podcasts, I'm like, this is not a lot of fucking ads. This is not a lot of ads at all. I've listened to some that were terrible. I was listening to a true crime podcast. I didn't even get through it because I saw the reviews. The reviews were like shit. The reviews were like, this fucking podcast is so ruined by the ads. And I was like, how bad could they be? And then I started it. And I think it was a Wondery podcast. And it was like a spinoff, I think, from another one because they had a deal where every time they went on an ad break, which was literally every 10 minutes, they played the same promo for another show that was also like on Wondery. I mean, it may not be Wondery, but like every single ad break, which was often, was like the same fucking ad, like if you were streaming. And it really did take you out of, you could not enjoy the show. Because if, like, heaven forbid you weren't near your phone to, like, skip the ads, you were like, oh, my God, I can't hear this again. and it made you crazy. So that's fair. Or when Bethany had Rachel on, and so we were kind of like forced to listen or watch her podcast. And I was complaining through the roof about the amount of ads. I was like, Jesus, she is milking this for all she can, because I knew that she was just putting in a bunch of ad breaks. iHeart requires a certain number of ad breaks. So if you're listening to a podcast and it's an iHeart podcast, iHeart has said any episode you put out needs X amount of ad breaks because they earn money from the episodes. So they want to make sure that they get however much money they can get, right? So sometimes it's mandated, because I was like, fucking Jesus, Bethany, like, oh my God, you don't make enough money. But iHeart might require it. So that might be in the contract. Thankfully, Cloud 10 does not do that, obviously. And also, the ads that do go in, we don't know what they are. So if it is one of those Spotify ads that goes in an ad break, so when this person said to me it was a 2-minute ad break at the beginning, I was like, oh, I didn't know. I don't know what ads go in there. So I just put a marker, right? Or an ad marker. I guess I should call it an ad marker. And then to point out that the 7 minutes in the middle, I figured that it's better to have ad breaks all together, like an ad break all together, just one, so that you can, like, as soon as you hear the ad start, you're like, skip, or whatever you want to do. I just thought that would be easier. But the only sponsors I have this week, I have 2 sponsors. I have shout out Vionic, shout out Cornbread Hemp. And those are the only 2. And I think those ads together might maybe be 4 minutes. So then that means whatever ads I put at the back of that, because I figured you don't want to have to skip through more ads on a different time. I just figured that would be good. That would be better. Like, I am considerate. I'm considerate of it. I really am not ever trying to be an asshole. I'm never like trying to punish the people. I don't promote my Patreon a ton because I'm not like trying to be that asshole that's like, pay me money. I get it. I like free content too. So I don't want to ruin anyone's listening experience. But especially if you like a smaller show, like I'm not one of the big ones out there. I'm not like Smartless or anything like that, or Giggly Squad. Hello. So if you have a smaller show that you like and they're playing 2 minutes of ads in the beginning, let them. Jesus, they got to make some money, for crying out loud. You know, it's not like I don't get that many downloads an episode to where every episode would just be like, boom, yeah. It's a minimal difference than like Smartless or Giggly Squad, because it's off the downloads you get and the listens you get on those ads. So. But like I'm trying to be as transparent as possible here, so you guys can see, like, when it comes to ads, that's the least we got. Okay, if you're listening to something for free or watching something for free, the ads are that's it. We have a lot of people have Patreons and subscriptions and stuff like that because there's got to be some sort of monetization, right? And so if I'm getting complained about, I know and I've seen so many other people get the same complaint, and it just makes me feel so sad because it's like, we're not stealing your money. It's not like that's what we're trying to do. We are trying to make a little though. Yeah, for sure. So please don't like take it personal or think that we're trying to pull something over on you. This is just the business of it. It's just there's a structural element to it that has to happen. So I love giving free content out because that's what I consume for the most part. And I don't blame you. If you don't like ads, neither do I. So if there's $3, no ads. $3 a month gives you every single episode totally ad-free on the Patreon. I care, guys, all right? And I'm sure your favorite podcaster also cares, or YouTuber also cares. Some are greedy, money-hungry losers, but you know what? For the most part, unless they are a huge, gigantic show, let them do it. All right. There was my rant. Thank you. Love you. Mean it. See you next time. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to She's Speaking with Emily Hanks. This show is produced, hosted, and edited by me, Emily, and brought to you in partnership with Cloud 10 Media. If you are looking for bonus content, check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. To show some support, you can hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Another free way to support the pod, please rate and/or review on whatever platform you listen. It's free, and it helps the algorithm or something. You could also head to buymeacoffee.com/shespeaks and buy me a coffee, or too. Make sure you're following me on all social medias. I am She's Speaking with Emily Hanks across all platforms: Threads, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. That's it. Thank you guys. See you soon.